Hello, today's Bible study comes from the book of Colossians. We'll be reviewing chapter 1, verses 21 through 23, and it reads as follows. Once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior, but now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight without blemish and free from accusation. If you continue in your faith, established and firm, and do not move from the hope held out in the gospel, this is the gospel that you heard and that has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and of which I, Paul, have become a servant. Well, as we see, Paul is continuing to talk in regards to the Lord and his works, and he says, once you were alienated, we were away from God, we were his enemies. And it was in our minds because we were wicked. We were doing the wrong things, which will alienate us from the Lord. So we couldn't do enough to do anything. We couldn't do anything to save us. And being alienated from God means we are not his. And being not his in this world means that we belong to Satan. Period. You belong to somebody else. If you don't belong to the Lord, you fall in Satan's ways. And then you're following your own ways too, which is still pleasing to Satan, because that means you are being disobedient unto the Lord, and that's all he wants you to be. And how did it affect us? He says it affected us in our minds, and he did say that it was our mind and our behaviors, how we were acting. We were about us, and we continue to be about us, and our actions speak in regards to us being about us. So now when it says right there, once you were alienated from God, before we were. So something must have happened, because it says once you were. Were is the past tense. I just told you what we were and how we were, but that once is a factor of saving, a factor of redeeming, because we were at one time, but now, and it says that right to verse 22, it says, but now he, meaning the Lord, but now he has reconciled you. God has taken care of our problem, which was our alienation. So now we are no longer alienated or owned by another. And that's through Jesus. And Jesus is the gift from the Lord. And God has reconciled us. God fixes our problem. God is the author of our salvation. So we know it ain't about us. We didn't do anything. So it says, but now he reconciled you by Christ's body. Because we needed Christ's physical body to get the blood. We needed Christ to be amongst us. So now his physical body through death. See, you needed the physical body for the blood that was shed on that cross. So we had to get a physical death. And to the present. And I say present, but it should be to present. And to present you holy and blameless and above reproach in his sight. God reconciled us. This is all his works, as I've been saying. This has nothing to do with us, so nobody can brag on it. Jesus was the perfect sacrifice. no blemishes, no faults. He was always. And Jesus does something for us here, because it says that he presents you holy in his sight. Christ's physical body through death to present us holy in his sight. He didn't have anything wrong from him, and nobody could accuse him of it. Not even Satan when he tried to get something from him. And then it tells you about, if you continue in your faith, this faith is important. This means endure, persevere, long suffering. It means to stay in your faith. And if you continue in your faith, okay, the faith, and Paul says it right there, established and firm, that means stay strong, and do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. Do you understand what the gospel said? We have directions on what to do. We have things that we are to do, but we have to have conduct that is of a disciple of Christ. Okay? So we have to continue in the truth of the gospel. And what gospel is that? Paul says it. This is the gospel that you heard, and that it has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and of which I, Paul, had become a servant. So this is the gospel that Paul even serves. And if you are a disciple of Christ, you should be doing the same thing. Become a servant unto the Lord. Amen.